Welcome to Conversations with Toy, a blogcast tackling life one episode at a time. This is the time to air out life's craziest moments. This space is all about speaking about life's hang-ups and ways in which we can leave better than when we started. Topics are all about ways we can find space to be better in life, love, mental space, and health.
Happy Friday. I don't know how your week went, but I pray, I hope, I sprinkle some joy that your week was an amazing one. Listen, life is lifing. Life is lifing, okay? And all I can say is if you are listening to the sound of my voice, you are still here. You have another opportunity to make the day a little bit better than it was yesterday. And I know that that sounds great, except for when it comes time to implementing that, it may not be as the thing that you want to do or the thing you can see or the thing you can conceive, but I just want to say hello. Welcome to Conversations with Toy. I am Toy, your podcaster. I am also a freelance writer, blogger, content creator. What else do I do? Social media. I wear a lot of hats, but the two hats that I love wearing the most is wife and mother of 3 amazing children. Welcome to another episode, another week. I know you're trying to chew my head off. I did not come to y'all with an episode last week. I told you, I don't know what the heck is happening, but whatever it is, we are here today, and that is what matters. We're going to talk about when our peace is interrupted, how we can try to work through that. And that's going to be the majority of our conversation because so much has been going on in the world that I feel like we have to have the conversation about what to do when your peace is disrupted. So many people's peace is being disrupted by the things that are going on, by the lack of the things that they have. And listen, I know that in times past, a lot of people would just be like, well, you have to be grateful for where you are. Sometimes it's not about being grateful. It's about being overwhelmed. Let me repeat that. Sometimes it's not about being grateful. It's about being overwhelmed. You know that you're grateful for just being alive. When I was in church, when we were growing up, we would say, I want to thank God for my life, my health, and my strength. Those 3 things right there are what you need. You need to be able to be alive. You need your health to be able to do the things you need to have. And if you had just enough strength to just come in the door to church, you had to thank God for your life, your health, and your strength. But sometimes when life lifes, those 3 things can be disrupted. You might be alive, barely holding on because your strength might not be here. You don't even see how you're making it. And not that you need to know that you're making it, but sometimes you need to feel it. So some people will excuse your exasperation with saying that you're not grateful when reality of it is you are grateful, but you just can't see the light from the day. You can't see your right hand from your left. And so we're going to have a real conversation about what do I personally do. Let me preface that. The tips that I am going to give you are going to be the tips that I have used in hopes that it will encourage you to do the same or find other ways in which you can ignite some extra peace in your space, right? It doesn't mean that I have all the answer. It doesn't mean that I don't get flustered. It doesn't mean that I don't get frustrated. It doesn't mean that I want to ball my fist up and knock people clean out back to Jesus. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that here's the things that I do that I hope will ignite some type of fervor in you so that you can figure out what it is that you need to ignite and push on more of that peace, because peace is hard to come by. You could have a little bit money and you could have your last penny, but if you have some peace about it, you can have other situations that can come around and give you more money. You can have situations that come around and give you a new husband, give you a new wife. You got all kinds of situations that can happen, but when your peace is disturbed, what are the tips that I personally use? Let me also preface, I am not a therapist, psychiatrist, none of that. I give omnibus to all those who God has gifted those skills to, because that is not my lane. I can only tell you what I've learned. I can only tell you what I've been through. I can only tell you the stories by which I've endured. I can't even tell you other people's stories, but I can tell you a lot about myself. And with that, I hope that it ignites, again, the joy that needs to bubble down on the inside, because when your peace is disturbed, joy is nowhere to be found. Joy and peace come together. Joy and peace work one to another, because even when you're not happy, you can still experience pieces of joy. But if your peace is disturbed, joy doesn't come along for the ride, okay? So we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about some of the things that have been happening in these internet streets. Before we get to the next streets, let's just talk about the things that are happening right now. And I'll just talk about my personal life before we start getting into the ways of the world, because we have plenty to talk about with that. But in my personal life, my Ubering days may be coming to a beautiful close. Praise you, Jesus. Listen, if you can extend your hand towards wherever you're listening to this, whether it be in your car, your phone, whatever you do, just extend your hand like we used to do back in the day in church, so that you can pray in agreement with me, because the way that my life is set up right now, I am literally over driving. If I never drive for a couple of months, I will be okay with that, because the way that I have been Ubering this family, and let me just say this, I don't say this in some like, oh my God, beat my chest, I've been doing so much. But I will say this, where I would normally just say, oh, I'm okay, it's fine. Let me just say, I've been replacing that with, I'm tired, I can't do it, I can't go here, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, because those are really the things that I've been experiencing. And I am no longer trying to sugarcoat, cover up, covert, be strong. If you think that I am a weak mother and a weak wife because I can say that I am physically tired from driving for hours upon hours per day, then I can just go ahead and sign up for the weak account. Because at this point, I got to be honest with myself. I got to be honest with the reality of my life and what I'm dealing with. No. I think that so many of us as a people, this is not about whether you have children or being a strong mother or a strong woman, a strong father, a strong man, a strong whatever you need to call yourself and whatever it is that you are. This isn't about any of those things. What this is about is being honest about where I am. Listen, the best healing that I ever had or I've ever experienced was being honest first. And I'm choosing to, on this very much day of Friday, November the 7th, to say that I am very much not as strong, or I am strong, but I can experience times when I am weak. This driving has been taking me out. There are days when I come in and I'm already overwhelmed, I'm overexcited, I'm over all the things, and I am ready to just be like, Lord, take the wheel. Literally take the wheel. Take the wheel, because I am literally tired of driving. So thankfully, my time is coming to a close, which means my husband is getting a little bit better in his healing journey. He has some things that he has to work out, and that is his story to tell. What I can say is that he is doing a lot better, and that's all that matters. So for my personal health, shout out to my therapist, who probably is not necessarily tired of me, I don't think. But what I will say is that he has been on the forefront in the trenches, helping me to get through this, helping me to be honest, is creating a safe space. He's creating a safe space so that I can just be like, look, I've had about all I'm gonna take, and here's my next plan, right? And so I'm grateful for that, having somebody that I can talk to, that I can just like bounce ideas off, especially when it's regarding my mental health. Let me just say, yes, my husband is my safe space, but this is not about him. Therapy isn't about a relationship change or a relationship exchange at all. Therapy is a place where you can be honest and real. Listen, there are things about this journey with my husband's sickness that I can't talk to him about, because one, I don't want to make him feel frustrated or angry, upset, because I'm frustrated or angry, upset. And he doesn't need to hear me dump all of the things that he can't change, and neither can I. But with my therapist, I can say the things that need to be said, feel like I'm sort of dumping, but pick the trash up and put them in the recycling bins and the places that they need to be in, so that I can get some results. Sometimes when we mind dump, it's for us to just get things out. There's no rhyme or reason. You're just mind dumping. But when you're talking to people and you're consistently just dumping things without a proper plan, the person that's on the receiving end could be in a really unhealthy situation and state as they're receiving it in. So what I've been grateful for is my therapist trying to say, okay, listen, let's take this trash that you're feeling. Let's put them in their proper place. Let's recycle it. Let's put it in the proper place so that we can come up with a plan. And that plan has been helping me tremendously. I don't know what 2026 is going to look like. What I know is that 2026 is going to come with a stronger toy, a more sound toy. Her finances is about to be coming together. All the things that I have on my heart and mind are going to come together. That much I can for sure say. I went to about maybe a few events, and when I mean a few, I literally mean that. I think tops may have been 3 if you count from Friday of last week to this week. I might have gone to 3. For sure, I know of 2, because those are the 2 that I just recently posted. A lot of the content that I have been working on, let me just say, God is so good. A lot of the content that I have been working on has been stuff that has been more paid, has been stuff that I can just focus on with myself, my personal stuff as my team, because I am a team of one. And I have been enjoying that, because here is the thing. I think all content creators need to be very understanding. In the very beginning, you say yes to a lot of things just because you're building your resume. You are padding your resume, you are putting your things out, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel like you have to say yes to everything, because you should be very selective according to what fits your niche or whatever it is that you're trying to put out, right? Know your why. Number two is that now that I'm a more of established content creator, I've definitely already been an established writer. I don't have to say yes. I don't have to pad as much. So because I've already done the groundwork, the things that I say yes to now come with a little bit more benefits. They come a little bit more hefty. They do come with a little bit more zeros. And so I'm very selective now. I don't have to just be like, all right, I'll take that little $100. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, we're beyond that now. If you are just starting out, I can 100% understand. But here's the little key: treat every thing that you do as if you're being paid six figures. Treat it, give it your all. Don't even go into this field of social media if you're not willing to give your all, right? You may not be as vulnerable as I am, because I'll talk about all the things that I be struggling with. That's me. But you can come in with all the things that you're putting out and just do it well. If you're going to do it right and do it well. And that's really the biggest advice I can give. But I've gone to about maybe two or three, again, I want to say more like two events in the last week, and that's been okay with me. There's been a lot of events that I was like, I guess I'm off that list, or they've been changing. Sometimes in this world, they change hands. Meaning some of the things that I used to go to consistently, like there's like the yearly things you go to every year, they don't come up, because if they get switched from one PR to another, you don't get a chance to see that, or you don't get a chance to be a part of that, because if that PR isn't aware of you, they don't switch, they don't give their list over. So you just have to, kind of finagle it. Or if you feel like, okay, I want to go to something, but my name is not being called, the best thing I can suggest to you is send an email to whomever that PR is and get on the list. Take a chance. Like, at this point in age, take a chance. You have literally nothing to lose, and you have everything to gain. So don't be afraid to take a chance. Once you're taking your chances, you're doing all the things, just do everything that you can with your whole heart, because nothing is worse than doing a bunch of things and then not really feel like you're involved in it as much, and you're going to fail because you're not doing the things that resonate with you. I can't say this enough. I have been very vigilant about what is the reason for my showing up. And if I'm showing up for these particular reasons, okay, cool. How do I let that correlate into how I'm presenting myself with my content, right? How do I best show up to show people, like, listen, hey, life be life into every last one of us. Don't get no smoke screen and think because you see me posting something that my life is grand, because I be dealing with real life stuff like everybody else. My life doesn't elevate just because, or stop just because I'm doing things. Everyone around us is preparing for some form of holiday, whether that is in the form of a less holiday, whether that's less Christmas, less Thanksgiving, however it's going to roll. A lot of us are preparing for whatever that may look like. Some people are pulling their resources to help other people. Thank God for different situations where we're being allotted to making sure that we have certain things in place to be of a service to other people who cannot get. Listen, if you don't know the newest update from my last episode, we talked about SNAP benefits. SNAP benefits are still very much on the line. SNAP benefits are doing the most, because in the sense of there is no SNAP benefits because President Trump has decided to say, no, we're not doing that. And then even though the judge says, yes, you are, he's like, yeah, well, we're going to go ahead and contest that. And so that's where we are. Now, to you, to me, to whomever may be saying this is not a big deal, it is a big deal, because at the end of the day, if people are not able to feed their families, that's going to be a lot on every last one of us. I went to the grocery store with my husband, and we went last week, and the grocery stores were bare. If they don't have enough people to bring in that money for groceries, they're going to have to let go of employees. It's just such a downhill trickle effect, but just the fact that people are literally hungry. When you and I get hangry, it's because we haven't eaten in a certain amount of time. But to know that you're going hungry, meaning lack of food, no matter what you do, you can't bring more food into the home. That's not something that I would ever want to experience or have anybody else to experience. So I really, really, really need us to get that understanding that there's no reason as to how and or why we don't understand that. All right. So there's been a lot of things happening in these internet streets, so much drama, little ins and outs, stuff that I see on TikTok. I don't think any of that has anything to do with mental health. What I will say is this: be very careful what you attribute to success when it comes to what you see on social media. A lot of things, and let me repeat that, a lot of things look extremely well. They look like people are doing so well off. People have their together. A lot of things look a certain way, but please understand that people allow you to see what they want you to see. And repeat that. They let you see what they want you to see. Listen, people used to say that social media is not real, but for so many that do show up as their real authentic self, it can be real. However, it's moments that are curated. There are many a days where my husband and I are at odds, and I'm not about to post that we're arguing today and I don't want to talk to him and he gets on my last nerves versus him doing the same as well, right? There's more times when my husband is reposting all my stuff and I just don't even want to talk to him, or he doesn't want to talk to me, and we're on the struggle bus together or separately. That's just life. That's relationship. That's marriage. That's how things go. My kids might have irked my final nerve, but we have went out to an event, killed it, did our thing that we had to do. We came and did what we had to do, what we were set to do, and we've gone home and had to make it happen and make it work and get past certain things, because that's real life. Within my own self, there are many days when I have shown up on the internet and I am just like, I'm so over it. I don't know what else to do, because that is the life. That is real life things that happen to every last one of us. So I want to make sure that we understand when it comes to your mental health, if your mental health is attached to what people look like, how they're moving on the internet, please just do better, because that's not exactly the thing you want to be focused on. That's number one. Now, number two, when it comes to the fact that sometimes your peace can be disrupted, have somebody get sick in your family, have somebody be at the point of death, have something situation where you are ready to knock your spouse right back to him, right back to God. Have your bills start looking funny, but your money ain't lining up. Lose a job. Have a child that gets sick, or God forbid, pass away. There are 1,001 ways to lose your peace, or I won't say lose your peace, but to feel that the loss of peace is there. Meaning, when you have peace, even when all hell breaks loose, for the most part, you can just say, I don't know what this is. I am frustrated. I can only do but so much, but I know that things are going to work out. And that is a beautiful thing. If you are in that space right now where you can feel that, you can say that, count yourself. Listen, you are rich, rich in blessings, rich in mindset, rich in mental health. But for the many who struggle with getting to that point where they can just say, you know what? I get it. Nothing I can do. Let me focus on what I can and leave the rest where they lay. Again, I just want to preface, that ain't everybody's situation. That's not everybody's testimony. It just doesn't work that way for everybody. So what do you do, or what should you do, or what do I do when I feel like my peace is being disrupted? One of the first things that you can do when your peace is disrupted or interrupted is to acknowledge the interruption. If you are the type of person that likes to do this thing where we kind of move on and act like things didn't happen, or you didn't just see what you saw, you didn't feel what you just felt, you didn't hear what you just heard, you're going to put yourself in a very hard predicament, because to pretend that your life didn't just fall and tell yourself, I'm going to ignore it because it'll get better by and by. There's a certain extension by which you can say, okay, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, or you're just being real and honest. And I need us to take a little honesty pill, because sometimes we're just not as honest as we need to be. So let me just say, you can acknowledge that the bottom of your life has fallen. You can acknowledge that. Sometimes the best step is to say, yes, Lord, I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot happening that I can't even see. I don't even understand. But it is the truth of where you are. And if you try to just stick with a little slice of, let me go ahead and be, honest, that honesty will carry you. It'll carry you. And I may not fix everything. It's not going to fix everything, but it can, and it will carry you. If you need to, I think the second step after you acknowledge that your peace is being disrupted is to be honest, of course. But the second step would be to create some sort of ritual that you can use that's going to be a reset. Meaning, what do you do that is your go-to when you are in a stressful situation? One of the things that I learned in therapy is that to make a a safety plan as you're already in a crisis is to have the safety plan put into place before you go into a crisis. What is your personal safety plan? This has nothing to do with, this is not stop, drop, and roll, although the techniques are somewhat of the same to basically stop the initial hit and make sure that you are okay, knowing that you're not going to resolve the situation, but to try to find some solace so that you can make a better decision about how your next move is. So what is your go-to when you are in a stressful situation? How do you fight off stress? What is your stress go-to? How do you say, okay, I am in this situation, but I can control the things that I can? And what does that look like? What does that look like? For me, it may be a quick walk outside. I am a firm believer that if you stand outside for 10 minutes, even in the rain, get your rain jacket, get an umbrella, do those things. Even in the cold, wrap up in some more layers. But standing outside or being outside for 10 minutes is such a great help. Also, sometimes people take physical activity. So that may mean not going to the full-fledged gym and doing, legs and arms and all the things. It could simply mean I'm going to take a walk for like 10 minutes, or I'm going to go into the gym for like 30 minutes. I'm going to do something strenuous, a little cardio, and then I'm going to come on up out of there, and I'm going to try to finish the rest of my day after I take a shower, because washing our booty is good. It's good for Jesus. Well, washing our booty for Jesus is good. But making sure that you have some type of a physical plan. What is it that you do that will cause your stress levels to go down just a little bit? We're not asking you what to do to solve it. We're saying, what are you doing to fix the initial hit of the stress? Taking a deep breath is good. Recognizing that your stress levels are causing your body to react in certain ways is another thing. Also, set a boundary. There are times when I've gotten to the point now. I will say this did not happen for me all the time, but I've gotten to the point now where I recognize I need a little physical debriefing. I need to just move back, step back, and I need to step away from the situation, whether it be the people or the things that are happening, so that I can make a better decision for my initial hit. So that may mean that separating temporarily, telling someone that you need help, or telling someone you don't need their help right now. Whatever that is, you got to set a boundary. Also, things like maybe having your fresh cup of your favorite drink. This could be something that's completely warm. This could be something that's pretty cool. Sometimes if you're angry and really in an anxious state, taking a cool glass of water and drinking it will cool you down. It cools you down physically, but then it also helps your mental as well. What are the certain scents that you use? Is there a special candle that you can put on? What are those things? You might be saying, but if I'm at work and I'm in a stressful situation, I can't turn on a candle. Okay, cool. You can't put on a candle, but you can do the suggestions that I gave before, right? These are just suggestions, right? These are suggestions. Also write something down. I've been talking about this mind dump, and I think that it does help. Mind dumping it doesn't have to be spelled correctly. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It's just you getting your words to paper and taking it to the next level so that you can get out what's in your head, so that you can clear your head to be able to think a little clearly for all the things that are coming towards you. Also, take a break. I know we talked about taking like a little 10-minute reprieve, but sometimes it's okay to just like, you know what? I'm going to just completely take a break. I'm going to just step back completely and take care of me completely. Do it without guilt. Like completely decide I'm going to decompress. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to step away, and I'm going to do this without guilt, because whether you realize it or not, the second you start to put guilt into its place where you're supposed to be able to just rest and regroup, you're already telling yourself that you're not doing enough. You need to be doing more. Reality is you can't do no more than what you're probably already doing. You can't. And if you could, trust me, there would be an answer to you right now. But you can't, because you just need to take a step back. And taking a step back does not make you soft. Taking a step back does not mean defeat. Taking a step back means simply that. I am stepping back so I can see better. Stepping back to see better. Another thing that you could do is do a peace check, meaning you set your alarm, you set a timer or something, and you say, I'll check in within myself within the next hour and see how I'm doing. It's like almost like temperature checking yourself, because you need to know that you're getting better, even if the situation is not fixing itself. There's another story that I do want to talk about that goes along with this. It talks about like the mental health and wellness and just like friendship and community. This lady was on the internet, don't remember her name, but she was talking about sometimes when you don't have enough money to hang out with your friends, the shame that you feel it will make you feel as if you're not worthy to hang around your friends. If your friends is like, listen, let's go out to dinner. So you're like, you don't have the money for dinner. So you're just like, you know what? No, I'm not able to come out tonight. Or you just kind of find an excuse. But the real reality is that you still are deserving of community. And just because you can't go out with someone for dinner, you need to find, friends need to find ways to then be with their friends without always looking for it to be a money exchange. For instance, because I'm a content creator, because I get invited to events all the time, it's nothing for me to say to my friend, hey, do you want to go to this event with me? Because again, community means them experiencing an event that I'm going to. I feel like it's something that they would like. Also seeing me in my element, getting to be around other people, making their own connections while there. That's not a problem with me. I have never been the type that's like, oh, when you're with me, you don't get to go out here. You can't network. That's the stupidest thing I think anybody could say. So I find ways to do that because I feel like that's a way to make sure you stay in a community. There have been plenty of times in my life where I felt like, okay, I didn't have the money, the means to go out and do certain things. And I've been very blessed to have friends who just like, don't worry about it. I didn't ask you if you could pay. I just said, come on. You know what I mean? Like, and that right there, it feels good. But here's the other flip of that. I feel like there are times when you're the friend that just consistently can't seem to ever pay. If you are consistently the friend that does not have, you have to ask yourself, are you in a season of not having, or is it something where you're just not being a good steward of your finances? Because sometimes we like to blame our situation when we're just consistently getting into the same patterns. So this is something that I'm doing. I'm just going to put it out there so I can suggest you do it. Go ahead and find you a financial planner to try to help you out, especially in 2026. Get your money together. Do you see how money is just becoming a real issue? How having money doesn't always equate to doing things, and those who don't have money for sure won't be able to have access to things. So if there's nothing else at this time of this season that's happening is to tell you to get your finances in order, that's what I'm going to suggest. Because it could just be very well that you're consistently falling into the same patterns. I've been trying to do better at writing down, what am I spending? What am I spending? How much am I spending? Because in your spending habits can tell you where you are. If you're depressed and you notice that you're depressed all the time and you're around certain areas or certain moments of your life, and so you're just always spending. So it's like every time of the month or every time you get paid or every time something happens, you're overspending and overextending in areas that you shouldn't. So in all reality, yes, I 100% agree with being in community with your family, being in community with your friends, and having community, period. But then there are times when some people are just the habitual spenders. They spend, and they just know that because if they pout a little bit or they give you a sad story, they give you a sob story, that you'll take care of everything. I don't want you to find yourself putting your friends in situations that you wouldn't want to be put in. And here's the thing, ask yourself, if your friend was in the same predicament and you had it, would you be okay if you felt like your friend was consistently being the one that was coming to you to do all the things, to pay for everything, to take care of everything? Because if you're not okay with that, then you shouldn't be doing it to other people. And I feel like, again, that's just one of them old school golden rules that we kind of know, but we just kind of like, if it's convenient for me, then I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and see about it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. But the reality of it is that if it's not, then don't. Right? Just simply don't. Get your finances in order so that you're not dependent upon people all the time. But if this is seasonal, meaning this is not your normal thing, you're usually on top, you're usually on point, and you find yourself in situations where you're no longer able to do so, don't feel ashamed to the point where you feel like you don't want to come out, you don't want to go and be in community. Tell your friends, listen, hey, I can't do that, but if there's something that we can do, the one lady that was talking online, she was just like, hey, can we go take a walk? And if you have a good friend, they won't be like, well, what you mean? You can't pay for something? Because if you have a friend that starts blaring and flaring up over stuff like that, because you're being honest about what it is, you need to consider you're a new friend. And for those who are these friends that decide, oh, well, I'm sure it's because you spent your money on A, B, and C, even if that is the case, even if that's how you felt, I feel like decorum and tact, or just some decorum and tact, are just two words that are leaving the English language, and also feel like it's leaving the people knowing how to carry themselves. Because if you wouldn't say that to your mama, then you shouldn't be saying that to your friends. Yeah. If you cannot say that to your mama, you should not say that to your friends. Because it's really irritating to me how people just are so lippy and say things that they feel like they have these strengths to do, because you feel like the person you're saying to will let it go unchecked, or they won't say too much, so you feel like you have wiggle room. To you people that are, and I don't want to say you people, but to the ones, I'll say to the ones that feel like they're this quote unquote strong friend, and so they feel like they can be the leader of the pack. They can talk to people any kind of way that they want to, just because I want us to get on somebody's do better, because you really cannot. Like, you just really got to get to the point where you just really cannot. You really cannot. It does not make any sense whatsoever to get into situations where you're just allowing yourself to continuously be the butt of people's jokes. Stop letting your friends just be disrespectful to you. Yes, you don't have, but you're not a punching bag. You're not below people to where people can treat you, talk to you, and really just disregard you in any type of way. So ask yourself, are you in a season, or is this something where you have a history? And if you have a history, what are the things that you can do within your history to figure out ways to change that so that you can show up as your better self? But also, don't neglect community. You need to be in spaces in community, and you need to have real friends in which you can have open dialogue about those things without judgment. If you are one of those judgment friends, stop telling your friend that you can come and tell me anything when you know you're not built that way. If you know you're not built that way, stop telling your friends that, because you're really just gaslighting them. You and I both know that you're not built that way. The second you feel like you have a one up, you're going to make sure you let that person know that you have that one up. And so you want to just tell, like, well, you could come to me and tell me anything. You know that's not true. I know in your mind you hope that is true, but hope and what it is two different hopes. They don't always coincide. So I need us to get on somebody's do better. Be honest about where you are and where other people are, and stop wasting people's time telling them things that you know you wouldn't want someone to tell you. I can't begin, and I do mean literally cannot begin to stress enough the intentionality of people when they go out of their way to mistreat somebody else. Don't you know that energy is going to come back to you? Is this something that we just don't care about? We just like, okay, it's whatever. Because I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation where I'm hurting people that I claim I love. And while we're taking care of ourselves, while we're taking a pause, while we're doing all the things that's going to help us, because when life and our peace is interrupted, we have to do things out of the ordinary, or do things that is in our safety plan, or do things that's in our self-care plan to make sure that we are okay, because nobody's going to come and save you. Nobody's going to check for you. Nobody's going to do all those things that you quote unquote need to be done. It's going to be you that has to do the work. So since you're doing the work and you're doing all the things to get the work done, you got to figure out what works best for you. Listen, I can't stress that enough. Let's get to this debate about to put up Christmas holiday decor or not. Let me just say something to you. There's people having real life situations that could care two left you know what's about whether or not a Christmas tree is up. Okay, they're in there. That's in their bag. That's where they are. There are some people who are in that same bag who are saying, you know what, I got to put this up because this makes me feel some 5 seconds piece of joy. There are regular people, and I want to say people of all types, who aren't in any type of situation, who just decided, you know what, I just don't feel like doing that, and so I'm not. Here's the thing. You already heard me say it earlier. Do what works best for you. Everybody is not a one size fit all. So if I put my tree up and you decide you're not, that's fine. If I put my tree up and you say you never will, that's fine. If you put your tree up and I say, yeah, no, I'm going to do it next week, why are we still having these debates in 2025? Why are we having these debates in 2025 in the year of our Lord? Why are we doing that? Because I don't understand the concept of this. If you feel like putting up your tree is going to make you feel some sight of joy, then do it. Right? Do it. If you feel like you don't want to ever put up a tree, go ahead and do that. Because what works for you ain't going to be what works for me, and vice versa. What you eat don't make me fat. So I just want this debate to stop, because come on now, we know the answer. Do what works best for you. That's the answer. There is no you're better than me, I'm better than you. There is no you're ridiculous and I'm not. There is simply decisions that need to be made. And again, with all the things that are going on in our life, whether you have the most tragic of things to not, I'm not about to let nobody's debate on whether or not a tree should be placed, because there's some people who don't even believe in putting up Christmas trees. So I'm not about to debate that. Just do what works best for you. Lastly, as we end this podcast, we're talking about what disturbs our peace, how to continue in our peace, how to create more peaceful situations. Stay out of drama. Let me say that again. Stay out of drama. There was a time in my 20s where I would just always gravitate towards it. And even still now, I'll find situations where I'm hearing about drama, but it don't be directly affecting me. But it used to be a time where I would directly be in it, all the way in it. I would be like the person who dealt it, the one who started it. But at my big age, I don't have time for it. Unless that drama is paying me, unless that drama is helping me figure out my kids and their futures, I have no parts of that. And let me tell you right now, drama don't help you with none of those two things. So I don't have time for it. I have a family to raise, a business to run, a family to keep afloat, and also to keep myself going. I don't have time, nor do I have the room to entertain no drama. I rarely even, let's not even say rarely, I don't even watch reality TV. I haven't watched it in years. And no issues with anybody who chooses to do so. I'm just telling you what I'm not doing. I don't even have time to watch regular television. I know you're like, oh, you just so big. You don't even watch. You so deep. You don't even watch TV. I'm not deep because I don't watch TV. I just don't really enjoy it. If there's a show that I like, I'll watch it. But most part, I don't. I'm going to read. I'm going to create content. I'm going to do other things. It just doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make something. It's just not one of my things. It's not my go-to. So it's not something I gravitate to. If there was a remote missing in my home, which there has been several remotes missing in our home, even though we have gotten several cases that are bright as hell, some that glow in the dark and everything else, we still have had times when the remote is missing. If the remote is missing, no one in my family has ever asked me where that remote is. Not one. Because they already know the answer. I did not touch it. I don't know where it is, and I ain't seen it. Because I don't touch it. That's my personal preference. I'm a big book girly through and through. I'd rather read than to watch. I'd rather experience than to just be on the sidelines. Those are just my thing. I don't know if it's a tourist thing that just likes to be more earthly, more grounded. Don't know, don't care. I'm just telling you that that's just not my stick. So stay out of drama. Create your own situations. Stop arguing about this mundane stuff. Y'all gonna be arguing from here. Now, I always do this or that. That's not necessarily an argument. It's just a preference. But when y'all start getting into straight up debates about why people are putting up their tree and how ridiculous it is, and you're going back and forth, that's no longer about a preference, because your preference doesn't need to be explained. Me saying I don't want to put a tree up doesn't need to be explained. You just simply don't do. So the fact that you go from preference to argument says something is wrong with you. And you're most likely the type of person that goes out looking for a drama, because again, when you really think about it, when you think about the stuff that's going on and you think about that, come on now, we all can agree that this is ridiculous and that is not worthy of our time and energy. Okay. I want you guys to have the most amazing weekend. Another weekend is upon us. I have some things to do with my son. Actually, all of my kids, actually all three of my kids got stuff to do. I don't even know why I say start breaking down one over the other. Everybody got something to do. So I got to get them all situated to their destinations, make sure they're good. And that's what I'm going to be focused on. Getting people from point A to point B, making sure stuff is situated from, whatever it is need to be done, and going about my way. That's pretty much it. That is what I am focused on. I hope that you find something that brings you joy this weekend. Remember, I always instruct you and encourage you to find at least one thing that you enjoy. I have 2 or 3 things that are on my list that I plan to get done. It's going to require me to do some heavy lifting at the beginning of the weekend so I can be more relaxed, but I'm here for it. So thank you for listening to Conversations with Toy. Please understand that if your peace is being disrupted, if your peace feels like it's being moved and shaken, please understand that this is probably most likely a temporary thing. It just doesn't feel very good. Try to hold on. Try to do the thing that you can do so that you're still here. We want you here. You deserve to be here. And I want to send you nothing but love and peace. And I will be back with you next week to talk about it all on Conversations with Toy.
Thank you as always for joining me, and I know that even in the deepest or joyful conversations that there's something we can learn and apply. Until next time, I hope that you are doing better. If not, we will be back to talk some more and handle it. Peace to you and yours. Stay grounded.